light the candles. We say ma'ozu, oh yes, for all 8 nights. Then we play dreidel by the candlelight. And I told you once, now I told you twice, about the miracle of the candlelight.
Well, is it speculative or is it just scientific?
Oh, it's mathematical.
I would say so.
You're shorter than I thought you were.
Me? Well, that's only when I...
Oh. Whoa, my.
Chanukah linda está aquí, 8 candelas para mí. Chanukah linda está aquí, 8 candelas para mí. Oh, una candalica, 2 candalicas, 3 candalicas, 4 candalicas, 5 candalicas, 6 candalicas, 7 candalicas. 8 candelas para mí. Muchas fiestas vou fazer con almendrigas y la miel. Muchas fiestas vou fazer con almendrigas y placer. Oh, everybody now. Una candalica, 2, let me hear you. 3 candalicas, 4 candalicas, 5 candalicas, 6 candalicas, 7 candalicas, 8 candelas para mí. Vou comer con almendrigas y la miel. Los pastelicos vou comer con almendrigas y la miel. Come on. Oh, everybody sing now. Una candalica, 2 candalicas, 3 candalicas, 4 candalicas, 5 candalicas, 6 candalicas, 7 candalicas. 8 candelas para mí, 8 candelas para mí, 8 candelas para mí. Oh. Gracias.
Able to draw on their screen and everyone can see it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our first annual Zoom Chanukah concert and comedy show. We're living through very unusual times, but the joy of Chanukah and the light of Chanukah must continue to reign. And so tonight, for the very first time, Palm Beach Synagogue is proud and happy to produce a wonderful evening. And we will begin with our comedian, followed by an interactive lighting of the menorah. So I hope everyone is going to get their menorahs out and ready to light after the comedy show. And then we will go to our singer and entertainer, Nissim Black. But we open this evening tonight with a comedian that is well known to us at Palm Beach Synagogue because he performed twice at our dinners, but he is renowned throughout the world as one of the leading, funniest Jewish comedians, and even has crossed over into the non-Jewish sector, as you could often see him on television shows, HBO, comedy clubs around the world, and coming very soon, he'll be on next season's Curb Your Enthusiasm. The one and only funny man, ELON Gold.
Thank you, Rabbi Scheiner. What a beautiful introduction. Yes, from the set of Curb Your Enthusiasm to a Zoom comedy show. The highs and lows of show business are just incredible. Rabbi, that was such a nice introduction. Whatever you do, you should never cross over to the non-Jewish section. God forbid. We need you here in the Jewish sector. By the way, could you unmute some people so I could hear laughs? I already should be killing at this point. I'm already on fire. What's up, Palm Beach Synagogue? Yeah. Why can't I hear anybody? Come on. Unmute some people. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Palm Beach Synagogue in the house. Literally. You're literally in your house. I'm in my house. It's awful. This is not a good situation. By the way, if you're unmuted, just laugh and then not do anything else. For the record, I am not Nissim Black. Do not adjust your screens. He is amazing. He is incredible. He will be on later. First, we're going to do some jokes. Ha! Happy Chanukah. Chanukah Sameach, everybody, huh?
Happy Chanukah.
Happy
Amen.
Hanukkah.
There we go. This is, you know what? I'm gonna upgrade us. You know what I'm gonna say? I know it's a tough time. We're living with the virus that was supposed to be 1 month and unfortunately lasted 8. I get it. But I'm gonna upgrade Hanukkah right now to Merry. That's right. I'm taking Merry from the Goyim. We're gonna have a Merry Hanukkah. Am I right, people? Nothing.
Yeah.
Just why not? You know, we don't have, by the way, we don't have Merry. Nobody ever says Merry Shavuos. There's never been, we've never had Merry. We know that happy is our limit, right? And even that's a reach. But we know merriment is not for us. It's not our thing. We're more like, meh. We stop at meh. How you doing? Meh. You know, but I want to be merry. I want to sing, have yourself a very merry Sukkot. We should bring merry to all of our holidays. Like Pesach, you know what we say? We say Chag Kasher V'Sameach. Have a kosher holiday. That's how obsessed with food we are that we put it into our holiday greetings. Do you think non-Jews do this? You think they wish each other have a treif Christmas? And a very treify Christmas to all. Should I sing again? Have yourselves a very treify Christmas. Anyway, here's the point. We need to be merry. Am I right, people? Is anyone still here?
Yeah.
This is not easy for us, you know. I'm on Zoom. Are you kidding me? I'm pretty sure that the best venue. I'm pretty sure that the best venue for stand-up comedy isn't a teleconference. I don't think that my comedy ancestors were sitting there forecasting the future of comedy saying, you know, this vaudeville is pretty good, but oh, you just wait. One day you'll be in a room by yourself yelling into a laptop while other people in rooms by themselves almost laugh. That's the future of comedy. It's not easy, these Zoom comedy gigs. I'll tell you, though, it's still a lot less awkward than the Zoom Shiva. Oy vey, that is just because then you're sitting there in a gallery view. It's like a depressing Brady Bunch. You know what I mean? Instead of smiling and waving, everyone's just sort of like sad, like, yeah, I know. Yeah, terrible. So sorry. Yeah, I know. I'm very sorry. He sounded wonderful. He really sounded wonderful. I wish I met him. By the way, have we met? I don't think, no, we have not met. Okay, no, I just saw Zoom, Shiva, I got an email and I clicked on it. I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go. And that, by the way, you talk about an awkward leave meeting. The leaving a meeting of a Zoom Shiva is like, I don't know anyone here or the deceased. I'm so sorry that it's an awkward thing. But everything is on Zoom now. Everything is on Zoom. I miss Waze. Remember Waze? How did we go from Wazing everywhere to Zooming nowhere? Okay? Literally, I did a gig last week. I did a Zoom gig to Australia, okay? And it was crazy. By the way, there was 500 people. We have 225 people right now on the Zoom. But by tomorrow's recount, it should be we'll figure it out by then. Too soon for that? Anyway, here's the point. I did a gig to Australia, and I had to wake up at 3 a.m., okay? 3 in the morning. The show was at 4 a.m. I was exhausted for 2 days. I had no idea that you could get jet lagged Zooming to Australia. I had no idea. And I saw the writing on the wall with the Zoom stuff right around Pesach when they had those Zoom Seders. Didn't you love those? The Zoom Seder, the only Seder where you not only break the matzah, you break Yontif. It's crazy. I was supposed to be in Mexico on Pesach. Do you understand? I was supposed to be in Mexico. And by the way, what better way to celebrate our freedom from slavery than by enslaving another group of people to serve us? You know what I mean? Right? Right? How better to recreate our exodus from Egypt than a spa in Cancun? But I didn't go. And it was very nerve-wracking because on Purim, this thing hit. And everyone was like, well, by Pesach, it'll be over. We'll go away. Right? Then on Pesach, it was like, okay, maybe Shavuos. Maybe we should go away for Shavuos. Then by Shavuos, we were like, so Yom Kippur's canceled, right? There's no way we're doing any of this ever again. Like, it's over. And Yom Kippur was canceled. Literally, I went, but it was in someone's backyard. Did you guys, anybody do this? You could nod. You could say, yeah, we did. Yom Kippur in a backyard. Nobody else did this? I got to tell you, it was incredible. 2 hours. I was home by noon. I took a 5-hour nap. By the end of that whole Yom Kippur, I said to myself, maybe they don't need to rush this vaccine out just yet. Like, maybe they could wait 12 months and get one more of these Yom Kippurs in. Rosh Hashanah was also in a backyard. I'll never forget the guy who was supposed to blow the shofar. He didn't even want to pick it up. He was like wiping it down. He was like, has anybody coughed or sneezed? He was like spraying Purell all over it. And he didn't even do it. He just pretended. He made the noise with his lips and he was like, what? I'm doing it. You want to do this? You want to do this? Every holiday is now just crazy. Even Sukkot. I love having numerous guests in my sukkah. I had 2. And all we did all night was argue. I'm sitting in the sukkah and I'm going, this is nice, isn't it? I mean, at least, we're separate. You're at your table, I'm at mine. But like, I feel safe, because look, we're in the sukkah, but it's safe because we're outside. And he was like, yeah, but we're inside the sukkah. I'm like, I know, but the sukkah is outside. Well, so is your house. Is it safe to go in there? No, it's not safe to go in there because my house isn't in my backyard. You know what I mean? But here we're outside, exposed to the elements. If a hurricane hits, we better run out and go inside the house, and we'll be safe because we're inside. Well, not if it's a tornado. A tornado would knock this house right off its foundation, and we'd all be dead. You know why? Because we're outside. Okay. What I'm trying to say is, though, that even if we're inside the sukkah, we're still outside, because sukkahs and tents and teepees, they're all outside. Not if you're in them. How about igloos? Can we agree on igloos? Can we agree that an igloo, even if you're inside an igloo, you're still outside because you're wearing a coat?
Yes.
I wear a coat inside. If you're ever in like a ice skating rink or a meat locker. Okay, you know how I know an igloo is outside even if you're in them? Because there are no doors. And that's why they call it indoors. You got to be indoors in order to be indoors. And there are no doors on an igloo, so you're outdoors. You're out of doors, you're outdoors. And he was like, elevators have doors. Yes, and if you go in an elevator, you're indoors. Well, unless it's an outdoor elevator. You know what? Let's go take this outside, okay? Let's take this outside. So you admit we're inside. Oh, God, I've had it. And that was my whole Sukkot, just arguing about outside. It's like every. Thank you. I hear two people laughing. There you go. Listen, it's not easy right now. And look, you know me. I don't mean to complain, but these COVID restrictions, it's a lot. It's a lot to handle, you know? The COVID restrictions is a lot. I mean, I'm trying to do most of them. They're important. They can save you. And for me, I think I'm handling COVID restrictions very well. I'm on an echo, I hear. Somebody mute if there's an echo. Whoever's not laughing, just mute yourself. There you go. That's better. Yeah, COVID restrictions for me. You know, like most of you, like many of you, I'm Jewish. I grew up Jewish and very used to restrictions that kind of don't make sense to me. You know what I mean? Like a lot of it makes sense and there are reasons behind it. And I do them all. I love Judaism. It's a beautiful religion. But some of the restrictions, you're just like, And it's like same with COVID. That's why the whole world's going nuts with these COVID restrictions. They don't know how to handle themselves, okay? And Jews, we're just like, oh, you call these restrictions? Please. You want to talk about a restriction? I'm not allowed to mix wool and linen, okay? I got to go to Macy's and buy a suit and check the freaking inside and the lining that I'm not mixing wool and linen. I can't just be like, hey, don't ask, don't tell. You know, it's none of my business what these fabrics are doing with each other. If they want to mix, they could mix. No, that is a restriction, okay? And you should know there's a big difference. Like, it's unbelievable that all the non-Jews of the world are complaining about COVID restrictions. They're like, oh, man, we have to be 6 feet apart. And I'm like, we have to wait 6 hours after meat before we can enjoy a cookie. You know what I mean? And I'm talking like a good buttery cookie with like dairy chocolate chips. I'm not talking about that power of crap, okay? Like, stop complaining about COVID restrictions. It's insane to complain about that. You know, we have to quarantine for 14 days. Hey, you ever hear of the 3 weeks? It's smack in the middle of the summer, okay? And there's 9 days where you got to be miserable and depressed and mourning, and you can't swim or barbecue in the summer. Let me ask you something. These 14 days, can you like eat meat and drink wine and go for a dip? Yeah, that's all we do. Then shut your mouth, okay? You got nothing to complain about, nothing. So that's why, in my opinion, our people are handling the COVID restrictions very well because it's just an adjustment from Judaism's restrictions to COVID. It's just a little adjustment. It's like must have 10 or more, can't have 10 or more. Oh, okay. So it's just, all right. So you're saying for a minyan, it's at least, for COVID, it's at most. Okay, got it. But we can agree on 10, right? That's a round number. We've had 10 for a while now. So we got 10. Okay, we just have to go from must to can't. Got it. Sure, that's fine. It's just about adjusting from Judaism to COVID. Must cover your head, must cover your face. Oh, that's easy. I'll just bring this down to here, and then, when I'm eating, I could bring it back up because I like to cover my head when I'm eating, and then back down. Or I could have two. We're good with head coverings. You must wash. Oh, are you kidding? We're always wash. Put that sandwich down and go wash. Look, my people have been washing before sandwiches for thousands of years. Okay, don't tell me to wash. We wash. We know from washing. Okay. And there's certain animals you got to be careful. You're not restricted. Animals, there's certain food and animals you cannot eat. Hello, welcome to my life. Are you kidding? I can't go into a Red Lobster or Burger King. Yeah, certain animals you can't eat. And now bats are trafed to the whole world. It's about time. It's about bat time that bats are trafed. By the way, I'm sure you won't find any glatt kosher items in the wet market. I'm sure you go there and there's nothing. It's all trafe, and they should have stayed away from it for forever. Point is, must, can't. It's all the Judaism restriction, COVID restriction, right? It's like must smell the besamim. If you have COVID, can't smell the besamim. It's like the whole world is now Jewish. They know what it's like. They know what it's like to be Jewish, right? It's just obligations and restrictions, right? Musts and can'ts, do's and don'ts, positive commandments, negative commandments, thou shalt not, mitzvahs, averas. You got to be happy. You better be miserable. Stuff your face. Don't even brush your teeth. That's Judaism. It's all restrictions and laws, and I love it all, and I do it all. But everyone out there in the world, they need to quit kvetching about COVID restrictions, okay? Because let me tell you something. COVID restrictions, try being born, and 8 days later, they cut off you know what I'm talking about. Right? COVID restrictions. I don't have a foreskin. What are you fetching about with your They're nothing. The COVID restrictions are nothing. But everybody's, they're just, we don't know how to handle this. We know how to handle this. The only thing that's tough for our people is the whole don't touch your face thing. Do not touch your face. Because that's all we do. Jews were always like, hey, I can't, right? It's all we do is touch our face. Like we'll be talking to someone like, wait, you have COVID? Oh, great. Now I have it. Look what you made me do. Right? Every single ritual we do, we say the Shema, we touch our face. We light the Shabbat candles, we touch our face. We're always, even like every impression of Jewish comedians that I do, they always touch their face, right? Gilbert Gottfried's always like, oh, stop it. I can't not touch my face. It's like a magnet. It keeps coming back, right? Woody Allen's always like, this is crazy. I'm trying very hard not to touch my nose and my mouth because, I worry about infecting my wife/daughter. Too soon for that one? No, we're fine with that. The only comedian that never touches his face is Jackie Mason because it makes me nauseous to think of person in my position. Whenever I use my fingers to touch my face, there's so many germs and diseases and viruses, all the disgusting bacteria. It makes me nauseous to think that I would ever touch my face. I've never touched my face. I only use my fingers to point. I point and I make points. I say, mister, you're paying attention. I use points. I use miles. I never spent $1. I'm always using points and making points. Everywhere I go, I rent a car, I get on a plane, a hotel, a bus, I'm pointing and using points and making points and come on, nothing for Jackie Mason, everybody? Yeah, it'd be so much nicer if I could hear a few of you, but I understand. People ask me, what is the secret to my longevity? The secret to my longevity, I've never touched my face. I've never touched my face. That's the secret to longevity. Don't ever touch your face. This way you'll live and be well till 120. You wake up on your 120th birthday. You rub your eyes. That's it. You're dead. You drop dead. Oh, my goodness. By the way, speaking of my favorite comedians. I loved Rodney Dangerfield. Anybody here know Rodney? Yes. Rodney Dangerfield, by the way, was a Jewish comedian and one of the best, but he was not religious, right? And I always thought, imagine if Rodney was like an Orthodox Jewish comedian, like he was observant like me. His whole act would be so different. So here, this is for you, Palm Beach. Here is religious Rodney. Here we go.
I tell you, it was rough. You know, growing up, we had nothing. I tell you, we had nothing. It was tough growing up, In my shul, they couldn't afford a mechitza. Are you kidding me? The men, we would just close our right eye. Oh, yeah, and the holidays were tough, too. I tell you, the holidays were tough. I remember one year the bank foreclosed on our sukkah. It was tough. I tell you, we didn't even have a schach over our heads, My father, he never gave me a lulav and esrog. You kidding me? He gave me a stick and a tennis ball and said, here, shake that. Oh, it was rough. I tell you, it was tough, I remember a lot of families, they went out to Pesach programs. And in my neighborhood, they had a Pesach pogrom, Oh, and Chanukah was tough, too. Yeah, I'll tell you, Chanukah was rough, yeah. I remember one year I opened my gift on the 6th night. It was 2 more candles, It was rough, I'll tell you. Purim was tough, too, We put the poor in Purim. I tell you, we didn't have, we didn't have costumes. We couldn't afford them, I remember one year my grandmother strapped a brassiere to my face and said, look, now you're a fly. Oh, yeah, and the kids in my neighborhood, are you kidding? They couldn't even celebrate Halloween, They tried. They would knock on doors and say, trick or starve to death. Oh, yeah, they had nothing. They had nothing. We had no food. In fact, in my town, they made Yom Kippur a 2-day yontif. Oh, yeah, it wasn't a fast. It was a slow. I tell you, it was rough, Oh, yeah, when you got married, are you kidding? You got married in my shul? They used to make you step on a styrofoam cup. Yeah, we didn't even have a nice glass. We had nothing. I tell you, we had nothing. Yeah, and nobody liked me in my shul. Nobody liked me. I remember in my bar mitzvah, I finished reading the Torah and they threw rocks, I was like, at least throw me some rock candy, Oh, and my parents, they didn't give me bar mitzvah lessons. You kidding me? They didn't give me any bar mitzvah lessons. That's why I didn't do the half Torah. I did the quarter Torah. It was rough, I tell you. Oh, I tell you, it was rough, And my mother never liked me either, We had it tough, but she didn't like me, my mother. She never liked me. In fact, I used to try to nurse, and she would push me away and say, hey, you're still flashing. I tell you, it was rough, I remember on Shabbos night, Friday night dinners, I used to stand next to an empty chair. They said, that's for Eliyahu. I said, he don't show up till Pesach. They said, what are you, his travel agent? Oh, it was tough, I tell you, And then when Shabbat ended, Havdalah, we couldn't even make Havdalah. We lit a match and sniffed our armpits and said, Shavua Lo Tov.
How about a hand for that, everybody, huh? That's a new classic bit right there. I could see the applause, but I can't hear anything, but I'll take it. I will take it. Yes. It's, it's been very crazy. It's the whole thing is just crazy. These Zoom comedy I did one this morning. This is a true story. Where's the rabbi? Rabbi, how much more time do I have? I did like 25, but I could do a few more minutes, right?
Yeah, keep on going. You're doing well.
Oh, thank you, Rabbi. Are you still walking around the house? Where are you? Look at that house. How much do they pay you over there? He's got more windows than I do in my whole house in that one room. Oh my, did you see how he walked down the hall when we started? Like he walked down, like made an entrance, and then he sat down. Like you couldn't have been ready for this? What were you doing before this? Oh my goodness. Rabbi, that's some house. Can I come over for Shabbos? What's happening? Let me see who else is here, by the way. We have Speaker View. Look at all these nice people. We have, let's see, Gail Zuckerman. Hi, Gail. I wish people were unmuted so I could hear laughs and talk to them. And by the way, am I blurry? I look blurry. Am I blurry? No?
No.
No.
You're not blurry.
No.
You're not blurry. You're very clear and you look
You're
good.
always blurry. You're always blurry.
Very clear.
You're fine.
Looking good.
You just went on.
Yeah, Art's right. You're always blurry.
We can't hear you now.
Let's keep doing the roast.
No, you're muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, David up.
Who's that?
Are we back? Are we back?
Yes. Yes.
I can't believe
Oh,
there are
there you
over
go.
300 people watching this. This is incredible. And you're in for a treat. Nissim Black is one of my, I have him on Spotify. Always listen to Nissim Black. You guys are in for a real treat. I'll just talk for a few more minutes and then I got to go here. But I actually have to light candles. It's 5 o'clock here in LA. So, you know, this is what it is, but I definitely miss performing for crowds. Like last Sukkot, not this past one, I went to Israel and I did a stand-up tour, 5 shows, like 1,000-seat theaters, sold out, not important. And this year I was booked to go back and I couldn't. And I never thought in my lifetime Israel and Disneyland would be closed. I never. And by the way, I'm not comparing the Holy Land to the Disneyland, okay? There are some similarities, you know, happiest place on earth, holiest place on earth. And by the way, whenever I'm in either of those places, I'm always really happy and super excited, but also exhausted, dehydrated, sunstroke, right? Both of those places, you can't walk 2 feet without someone trying to sell you something, right? And you're always like, no, I don't want a turkey leg or a Hamsa necklace. No, I don't want what do you mean you don't want Hamsa necklace? What do you mean you don't want? What do you want? You want the bracelet? I give you Hamsa bracelet. You want anklet? How about Hamsa anklet? You have ankles? Yes, I have ankles. What kind of question? How many ankles you have? Tell me, how many ankles? What? I have 2. I have 2 ankles. Okay, I'll give you 2 for 1. 2 for 1. I give you Hamsa anklet. And I'm like, no, I don't want a hand hanging over my feet. That would be weird. You want foot hamsa? I give you foot. It's like hand, but like this. It's like this, but like this. Foot hamsa. I give you this. So there are actual similarities between Disneyland and our homeland, right? There are if you think about it. They have Mickey and Minnie. We have Bibi and Benny, right? We have our Disney characters. I always imagine like a non-Jewish family of tourists showing up in Israel. They see their first big Haredi guy and they're like, oh, look, there's one of the characters and he's in his costume. Which one is that? Is that Goofy? No, it's Schluffy. Look, he's exhausted. His eyes he's got bags under his eyes. It's very similar, the Disneyland and our homeland, right? They have It's a Small World. We have It's a Small Country. It's tiny. What do you mean? It's size of New Jersey. It's a tiny country, right? They have Space Mountain. We have no space on the Temple Mountain, and that just annoys me. They have Tomorrowland. We have Tel Aviv, the land of the future. It is always tomorrow in Tel Aviv. Even if it's Wednesday, it's Thursday. It's the land of tomorrow. Jerusalem, this is old. It's old. It's Jerusalem, old city, everything. But Tel Aviv, it's high tech. It's the future. It's everything brand new. And then I'm in Tel Aviv, and it's gorgeous. But I'm driving around the neighborhoods going, some of these buildings look like they were built by the Canaanites. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on here, right? Like, I didn't realize that the land of the future had clotheslines hanging from building to building, right? Like, they're high tech and they have every single, like, you know, app, and yet no dryers. They have no dryers at all. I think they should invent like an app that's a dryer where it's called like Dryz, D-R-Y-Z, and you just take your phone and you dry your clothes like, but I'm drying my clothes. I have the app Dryz. I'm drying right now. I'm drying my clothes. It's so crazy that Israel and Disneyland are closed, and it's very upsetting. And I can't. Oh, I see Gary shot. Gary, happy birthday, buddy. He's muted too. Everybody's muted. It's the weirdest thing when
No, not everyone.
Okay, good. Who's not muted?
We don't know how to unmute.
Elon,
Chag Sameach, Gary. Well, I don't, listen, I got to go. You guys have a big concert and there's a lot going on. I would lose my comedic license though if I didn't even mention Trump. And I know everybody calm down. Many of you like him. That's fine. But as a comedian, I must make fun of all presidents. And I do. Just so you all know, I made fun of Obama, George W. Bush. I make fun of Trump. And on January 20th, I will make fun of President Harris. There's no way Biden is making it to the inauguration. Have you seen him? Have you seen him? When he smiles, it looks like he's having a stroke. It's like... I don't know about this, but with Trump, see, a lot of Jews love Trump because Trump loves the Jews, and he talks about us all the time. He was always like, "I love the Jews. I love the Jews. I know a lot of people, folks. I know more people than there are people. How many people are there? What, like 7 billion? I know like 19 trillion gazillion people, and the Jews are the best." The best, especially Palm Beach Jews are best. By the way, West Palm Beach, fake Jews, totally fake. Fake Jews, they're fake. I've said this before, but I'll say it again and leave you with this. He was great for Israel, and this, of course, is a part of me when I think of Israel that's sad to see him go. And my biggest issue with him, whether you loved him or hated him, is that his personality was very volatile. He tweeted crazy things, so he did make me nervous. And here's what I say about Trump. I would honestly be nervous if Trump was president of my shul, right? He'd be like, "We are going to make the shul great again, okay? The Kiddush has been a total disaster. I mean, like a disaster like you would not believe, folks. We're going to bring back hot chulent. The chulent, it's lukewarm. I don't like lukewarm chulent. We're going to make chulent hot again. We are going, what we're going to do, we're going to build a mechitza wall and let the women pay for it. Gotta go. Chanukah Sameach. Thank you all for being here. Enjoy this concert.
Thank you.
And let's all just be safe and healthy, and God willing, 2021 will be better for all of us. Take care of yourselves. Chag Sameach, and I'll see you in person, God willing, next year. Thank you, guys.
Elon, you rocked. You're the best.
You.
Thank you so much. You really boosted our spirits tonight.
Thank you.
And you're always welcome for Shabbos.
Amen.
Okay,
Can I sleep
ladies
in
and
that room with the
gentlemen,
windows?
we're now going to light the menorah. So I'm going to ask everyone to take out your menorahs if you haven't lit yet. And we're going to have an interactive menorah lighting. And following the menorah lighting, we're going to have the concert by Nissim Black. Does everyone get the menorah ready? Their lights ready? What? So take it off. Is everyone taking out their menorahs to light the menorah together? If you haven't lit your menorah, let's all do this together.
I'll film it. Are you looking at this way? You're looking at it this way?
Just turn around.
What? How do you turn around? Mom, hold it and flip it. No, why don't you film it? Just flipping it. Okay. Do it like I'll do it. Okay, go.
Okay. All the kids come stand here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa Nissim Black bayamim Mahei mebazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'achiyanu v'kimanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. Masur Yeshuasi Lechana L'Shabeya Tikam Beis Tefilasi Visham Tada Nizabeya V'yestachim et Beya Mitzar Nabeya Ozegmar v'shir mizmar Chanukah mizbeach. Ozegmar v'shir mizmar Chanukah mizbeach. Chanukah Sameach, everyone. And the beauty of Chanukah is that we light the menorah at the window, which is the boundary between our homes and the public domain. And the message of the lights of the menorah is that we have to take our inner light, our light of our homes, and shine it out to the outside world to illuminate the darkness. These are difficult times we're living through now, but we know that ultimately good will prevail, light will prevail, health will prevail. And I want to take this opportunity to wish everyone who needs a refuah shalema, and may we only experience joyous holidays of Chanukah in the future. And may this holiday of Chanukah usher in more light, happiness, and love in all of our lives. And our daughter Malka is in Ukraine right now, and wherever we are in the world, Jews are lighting the menorah around the globe, and we are all celebrating together. And this little flame, which represents the eternal Jewish nation, the Jewish people, which have lived through so much, will continue to thrive and go on from strength to strength. And we will ultimately see joy and happiness and health for all of us. And may, I realize that this pandemic began on Purim. So since it began on Purim, now we're up to Chanukah, which means we've gone through every single holiday on the Jewish calendar. And God willing, for the next holiday, which is Purim, we will be back in the shul with good health, and everyone will be able to be together. So ladies and gentlemen, now we're ready to introduce our singer, Nissim Black. Nissim Black is going to tell us his story. As he sings, he's going to tell us his story, how he went from being a rapper and being involved in gangs and other things in Brooklyn to finding his way, his path, his Jewish path, to the Holy Land in Israel, where he has now become a superstar Hasidic singer, musician, very talented. He brings the love and passion of Judaism combined with his rap and his Jewish songs. Ladies and gentlemen, a fascinating individual with an amazing story. Ladies and gentlemen, we are happy to introduce to you for the very first time at Palm Beach Synagogue, Nissim Black.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. Thank you so much. Everybody can hear me out there. I do appreciate it. I feel like the set is going to go smoother. We're going to sing and we're going to dance a little bit first. And then I'm going to speak. And then I think afterwards, with God's help, then if we can, we're going to allow some questions. Thank you guys so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. Without further delay, we'll start. And just because we didn't get a good amount of time to check, Rabbi, please let me know if you guys can hear me okay and see me okay. Yeah. We waiting on that pressure to relieve us from when the thoughts from the evil side exceeds us. We trust and more power. We ignore the lies they say. Like if it's there now, we gon' die this way. We spread our wings and we fly away. Goodbye gravity, no longer can I wait, time out. Cause I found destiny and purpose where I am now. And we can be on the same path to eternal light if we take that heavenly order to enable in disorder. Divide the conqueror and to make his reign shorter. Fight for our life cause it only brings us closer to the blessed one. This is the beginning, here was lesson one. Dream for it, you can even scream for it. You can make the effort only if you reach for it. The run, the push, the lift. You can only fly if you're falling off a cliff. Hey, no matter what the world say, hey, they don't know who you are. You ready to leave this place? Hey, cause you can fly above the stars. You're waiting for that lift off, but you can stop moving now. You see it when you look down. Yes, you already off the ground. That you already off the ground. Yeah. Still waiting, more patience. Cause victory is more sacred than when awaited by the owner. Then we're controlled by a controller. You're not a robot. You feeling claustrophobic cause you locked in a box with a top. But you can take the lid off. See beyond the stars and hear a pin drop if you're listening. Dream for it, you can even scream for it. You can make the effort only if you reach forward. The run, the push, the lift. You can only fly if you're falling off the cliff. You can only fly if you're falling off a cliff. Hey, no matter what the world say, hey, they don't know who you are. You ready to leave this place? Hey, cause you can fly above the stars. You waiting for that lift off, but you can stop moving now. You see it when you look down. Hey, cause you already off the ground. No matter what the world say, hey, they don't know who you are. You ready to leave this place? Cause you gon' fly above the stars. We waiting for that lift off, but you can stop moving now. See it when you look down, that you already off the ground. Hey. That you already off the ground. Yeah. So as the rabbi said, I'm originally from Seattle, Washington. I was born and raised there. And I grew up my whole entire life thinking that the world was one way, only to discover that it was a completely different way. I was exposed to gang violence and drug abuse very early on as a kid. Me, myself, I was already smoking marijuana by the time I was 9 years old. I was already dealing by the time I was 12. Found myself running with a street gang by the name of BGD, or Gangsta Disciple Nation. And I found myself, safe to say, in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. The interesting thing about my home life is that both my parents had both sold drugs, but being in a world where that was a norm, it was almost like dysfunction was just a part of life. And quite honestly, had I not seen what I was saying now is greener pastures, I probably would have never been able to really make it out of that box. Most people don't make it out of certain mentality once you are raised in that type of neighborhood. So in order for me to be able to triumph over it, I had to be victorious. So to introduce this next song, it's called Win. I'll go in a little bit deeper into the story as we go along. But this next song, Win, talks about being victorious and overcoming, specifically the other side of evil. Yeah. Yeah. Hey. Get it, win it, split it, we gon' finish. finish, they gon' listen all night, all night, all night, all night. Yeah, get it, wet, split it, finish, they gon' listen all night, yeah, all night. They don't want me to win, so they gon' let us sing, cause they know we gon' win. As if they let us in, yeah. I ain't catch feelings, but I got a heart. I'm like a King David, I'm playing the harp. I look for the ending before it all start. What they put together, I take it apart. Don't really care if they know who we are. I'm keeping it real cause I work for the boss. When they say I won, I say it's the law. Can't for myself, I ain't paying them off. I didn't get it, catch it, feelings, they pretending I ain't willing to concede what they want from me. I have so much pain in my heart cause of what they did to me. Gave the best of me. Get it, win it, split it, we don't finish. They gon' listen all night, all night, all night, all night. Yeah, get it, win it, split it, we don't finish. They gon' listen all night, all night, all night. They don't want me to win, yeah. So they gon' let us in, yeah. Cause they know we gon' win, go. As if they let us in, yeah. I came for the dub, not for the L. If they moving slow, then we gonna propel. I'm feeling so stuck like I'm lost in the jail. I take a breath and then I exhale. I only go if I know that he's there, cause he in my heart, so I never get sad. If I'm feeling some way, then the cross on my share. I gotta do it like nobody did. They say it always. You gon' have to fight him back your way. I know that he's watching me, so I stay. And now I'm probably winning here cause I wait. Yeah. Hey, get it, win it, split it, we don't finish. They gon' listen all night, all night, all night, all night. Get it, win it, split it, we don't finish. They gon' listen all night, all night, all night. They don't want me to win, yeah. So they won't let us in, yeah. Cause they know we gon' win, as if they let us in, yeah. So my first introduction to religion was actually Islam. My grandfather was a Sunni Muslim. My grandfather had spent most of his time in prison, and he came to live with us. I think he was out on probation. He came to live with my family, and which was the first real time that I had ever really got to experience. I think most of the time I had talked to him up until then, 8 years old, had been on the phone, and he was talking to me from prison. So now he came to live with us. It was an amazing opportunity for me to get to know my grandfather, spend more time with him. As I mentioned, my home environment was one with a lot of trafficking and different environment altogether. But my grandfather, him coming, not really being completely clean of that lifestyle, but one thing he did bring was the faith, was religion, was Islam. And I pray with my grandfather 5 times a day. He would take me to the mosque, teach me lessons from the Quran. He will also give me lessons from the streets because he was also very well versed in the streets. But so from the time that, I spent that time with my grandfather until maybe I was 13 years old, which unfortunately my grandfather ended up going back to prison. Maybe shortly after this, he was out. He's maybe home for a year before he ended up going back to prison. And then after that, from that point on, if anybody asked me what my religion was, I would have told them I was a Muslim because that's what my grandfather was, and my family wasn't religious. So that was the beginning of faith for me, but it wasn't enough to be able to say that, I was able to really experience being a religious individual. But it was like the beginning and sort of to some degree planted the seed for a life of religiosity, for lack of a better term. Also around 13 years old was a good friend of mine who was involved in a hip hop program. And this hip hop program happened to be at a place called the Union Gospel Mission, which was a Christian center. This place, after much convincing, he got me to go there. Wasn't because of the Christian part. It was just sort of like I thought I was already a big rapper, so I didn't think I feel like I needed a hip hop program. I recorded my first professional records, 2 of them with the big producer at that time. I was also 13, so I thought I had made it, even though I didn't. So it was very hard for me to go to this program. I ended up going there, and I happened to be going to this place was really the beginning of a new journey for me. Being able to see things differently than I had mentioned before, because a lot of times when you live your life in that type of lifestyle, you feel like you're stuck, and you feel like you can't get out of that. You can't get out of that. Not just a lifestyle, but it's really, I hate to say, I don't know if it was Curtis Blow or not, like that jungle almost of dysfunction and constant conflict in that lifestyle, but you don't even know when you're in it. This moment, it feels like you're in the matrix. So, but once you're able to step out of it and be able to get around healthy relationships, which was beautiful for me at that time, I was able to start to see that maybe there was a better path for me to take with my life. So we'll continue. The name of this song is Rerun. Sometimes we feel like we do get stuck and everything's on repeat, but we can dust it off.
Feel like I've been watching it on rerun, yeah. I done had some lows, yeah, but we young now. Big talking ain't never what we on. So I gave them a shoulder they can lean on. Yeah, I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off. I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off. I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off. I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off. You know they be calling, but I'm on the go for the win, so they be stalling, yeah. They wanna see me down, but I ain't falling, yeah. Pick up and do it like I did it when I hit it with the God thing, yeah. We on the home team, yeah. We gon' pick up, pack it, flip, hit me with the goal, but the goal ninja. Whole world's in his hand, but he can't trick it. Didn't wanna listen, now we had to get the finish. I got energy, yeah. We all in, we not friends. Love to my enemies, yeah. We put 10, I can't beat 120 on the beat, but we got the heat. We gon' put it in their feet. We gon' work them out to sleep. Hey, 10 up, 10 down, rerunning, play it loud. I've been watching it on rerun, yeah. I done had some lows, yeah, but we on now. Big talking ain't never what we on. So I gave them a shoulder they can lean on. But I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off. I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off. I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off. I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off. 10 up, 10 down, rerunning. Yeah, back to the hiccup. Sharp the press, I got the rest. Open like the back to the pickup. I get the stress off my chest. Yeah, this my team, yeah. This my team, yeah. We gon' win, roll with me, yeah. This they chance, this just in. I've been high, I've been low. I've been shaking on the floor, like the Holy Ghost, hold me close. Yeah, you ain't got it, cause you can't get it. Look, I rerun it. They gon' listen. I've been watching it on rerun, yeah. I done had some lows, yeah, but we on now. Big talking ain't never what we on. So I gave them a shoulder they can lean on. Hey, but I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off. I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off. So I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off. I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off, I'm dusting them off. So being at this center was amazing because it was like a new life for me. It was like being able to see healthy relationships, see something different than what was going on in my house. And the people there were just love. It was a different type of love also. But the atmosphere there, being able to go there after school, I mean, I got so involved in this place over here. It was like it became my second home. And meanwhile, the reason why this was so important for me to get involved in this program was because there was a certain camp they took me to. Now, this camp was not an ordinary camp. Originally, I didn't want to go to the camp. I ended up going to the camp. And this camp was a Christian missionary like camp. But it was important because my life was
changed radically at that point in my life by being at this camp, because for the first time I was able to talk and discuss my lifestyle and the pain and different like traumas I went through as a kid with other people that came from a very similar background. They came from the exact same type of environment that I come from. And so it was sort of like a healing process of being able to finally talk about those things and really look at it from that, you know, from sort of outside. Once you're outside of your environment and you're in an immersive environment, that was created to be able to deal with what's on the inside, it was a lot easier to talk about these things and to feel a certain way about them. So we were able to have those discussions. And at that time, I became a Christian at this camp. I came back, I stopped hanging around a lot of the other guys that I was hanging around. And I started, and the reason why it was so crucial is because I was starting high school. Now, I ended up, Baruch Hashem, thank God, I, you know, have a lot of high school pride, but we did not have very high numbers of people graduating high school, unfortunately. So you can just sort of imagine what the environment was, and like one wrong turn, one bad decision in that school, you know, can change life. It could be life altering. And so it was very, very crucial and important that that experience that I had happened then at that point, because I was going down a very narrow road. And finally, with high school, they were just now allowing me back into the school district. I was actually expelled from the regular school district. So to be able to go back and sort of to have a restart and to be able to have this sort of renewal to some degree in my mind going into high school was very, very important and very crucial. So I went in playing football, American football. I hope I don't have to say that for anybody because it's the only real football. No offense to any soccer people, but so playing football was my love, my passion, just as music was. And so in between, you know, the fields and in the studio, I would go back to this Young Gospel Mission. I was very active. And I want to say near the end of my, midway through my my ninth grade year of high school, I ended up becoming very popular because I run like a rap battle that was very public. So after that, I got very, very like distracted. Rap battles every weekend or every week we would have. And so I was like always preparing for that, in between that, working out or whatever. So I sort of like my whole new journey in spirituality started to wane a little bit. And we'll pick it up a little bit after this next song. This next song I want to introduce is my Chanukah song. It's not dreidel, but this is my take on Chanukah. I tend to take things a little bit deeper. Even some of the songs where I'm singing or I'm dancing or it seems more joyous, if you listen to the words, I'm always punching in very, very deep and heavy things. So you have to pay attention to this one.
Whenever we down, he can lift us up. Ain't a difficulty too difficult for us. If only we would trust and keep our heads up. The sky we can touch, yeah. But I feel like I'm already gone. I feel like I lost my way home. I'm feeling surrounded by sun. I feel like I lost my way home, yeah. And when it's dark and I can't see, so can you wave the light for me? It's hard. From Egypt to Babylon, the Holocaust, Inquisition would pivot us to the pogroms. Yeah, from the Greeks and now in Rome. Yeah, but we fight back to light that fire. They got a problem cause this neshama won't expire. We move it on. We show the whole entire world no fear in us. And so we make a flame for this miracle. So we make it 8 days, 8 nights, and you can call it 8 flames, 8 nights. We light a flame for this miracle. We light a flame for this miracle. So we make it 8 days, 8 nights. You can call it 8 flames, 8 nights. We light a flame for this miracle. We light a flame for this miracle. I'm just standing here, but I can't hold myself. I know I need the help of someone else. I am my brother's keeper. I can use my hand to be my brother's keeper. We gon' fly away. Not in a million years, 6 million tears, be ignored still. These are arms of steel, King David's shield, Operation Moses, Ethiopian Trojan. He gave the mighty to the weak, and the many to the few, and in a minute it was through. Even in the dark we lighted through. So now I give my light to you, but we fight back to light that fire. They got a problem cause this neshama won't expire. We moving on, we show the whole entire world no fear in us. So we make a flame for this miracle. So we make it 8 days, 8 nights, call it 8 flames, 8 nights, the flame for this miracle. We light a flame for this miracle. So we make it 8 days, 8 nights, call it 8 flames, 8 lights. We light a flame for this miracle. Hey, we light a flame for this miracle. So we make it 8 days, 8 nights, 8 flames, 8 lights, flame for the miracle. We light a flame for the miracle. So we make it 8 days, 8 nights, 8 flames, 8 lights, flame for the miracle. We light a flame for the miracle. So, Baruch Hashem, Hashem has his amazing ways of working. My 10th grade year already, I've been very, very focused. I was already starting varsity on my football team. And I was very, like I said, focused on my music and rapping. I was releasing new songs all the time. So very occupied in that space. And then I had this moment where I came in for my lunch period. And I remember walking in to my, just regular main hallway entrance. And I had like this like crazy moment. I wouldn't call it like epiphany, but something came over me and I stopped. It's very, very strong feeling. And what I felt at the time was that I was out of place. I felt very much so like I didn't belong. Just all of a sudden I'm looking around and I could feel and I could hear inside. It was me saying to me that you don't belong here. And I'm looking around at all my friends that I grew up with, people that I've been around most of my life, from elementary school even. And I'm looking around and something told me inside, not verbally, but that I knew something that nobody else knew. I didn't know what it was, but I knew something that nobody else knew. It was a very, very powerful moment. And after, maybe eating a chicken nugget or whatever, the feeling went away and I thought things were back to normal. But that moment was so powerful that it made me start to seek. I felt like God was trying to tell me something and I didn't know what it was. So I got myself more involved in the center that I was involved in before, like very, very involved. I joined every single Bible study group, every single leadership program. I got myself overly involved. I became a junior missionary. We went on to go help build orphanages in Mexico, and I became an outreach specialist there, and a summer intern. I was very, very active and involved. So much so that it wasn't long before I had almost half of my high school going to every single program and Bible study group and things like that. And I became the poster child for this place. And it was very interesting because simultaneously, as while this was going on, my music has started to spread even more at the same time. And two things will happen this upcoming year that was sort of like life-changing, that was going to veer me in a different path. One was I met my wife. Thank God I've been able to be with my wife since I was 17. Me and my wife are high school sweethearts. And you talk about a Chanukah miracle. For sure, me and my wife, our whole relationship is a miracle because we went to rival high schools. So the fact that, I was willing to take such pity on her and to allow her to be my wife was really, really, really big miracle. Anyway, so I met my wife. And also shortly after I met my wife,
a demo of mine that made it to the desk of an A&R from a big record label. And I started getting calls from this A&R, this talent scout. And we started talking. In the beginning, we're just sending in more demos and talking. And then eventually, they dropped the bomb. What was the bomb? The bomb was that although they loved everything in the music, hip hop at that time had moved to a very, very gangster, very violent place. Thanks to a guy, maybe 50 Cent was probably the culprit at this time. Because up until that point, there had been much more so pop duets between guys and girls, pop singers. And then when 50 Cent sort of came into the music scene, he sort of brought it back very, very gangster. And so since that was the music that was selling at the time, they really wanted to get more of that out of me. So I'll tell you about that after this. Here we go. Yeah, I'm on it like you want it. I'll be there like Jackson 5. You saying, but you busy. I'm running behind the lines. Good friends be so hard to find. You know I be with you. We been cool since 99 and we done had some issues. Everything we've been through ain't nothing but a test of faith. We know that God sent you. We ain't felt it, we just cried. I have psychos on my side. Yes, I changed the way I think, but I still have you here inside. Near and wide, river flowing, hop inside. You know you so special. I left you for a few years and I really regret those. I can't make it up to you, but I can do my best though. I'ma show you to the world I'm holding, I won't let go. Treat you like my best friend, like my best friend, best friend, yeah. Hey, treat you like my best friend, like my best friend, yeah. Best friend, yeah. Hey, hey, I'ma turn it up, I'ma turn it up, I'ma turn it up. Yeah, yeah, I'ma turn it up, I'ma turn it up, I'ma turn it up. Hey. I play you when I get low. I know that you lift me whenever I am anywhere. See, I'm taking you with me. You know I ain't getting if it ain't really hitting. Stereo or mono, I don't follow if it's glitching. You scratch me where I'm itching. Put away the nonsense. They wanna come between us, but they dealing with a monster. Even at my concerts, you know you be the loudest. And every step you step together, you can step for hours. Don't want it to ever end. I don't have a better friend with all the pain and back and forth, we can never sever it. You know the connection there, whomever we ever share. You know we like best friends, and I forever treat ever you like my best friend, hey, like my best friend, hey, yeah, best friend, yeah, yeah. Treat you like my best friend, like my best friend, best friend, yeah, yeah. I'ma turn it up, I'ma turn it up, I'ma turn it up, yeah, 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 yeah. I'ma turn it up, I'ma turn it up, I'ma turn it up. Hey. So that song "Best Friend" is very appropriate actually for this point of the story because music was my best friend. Music was my joy, and if you listen to that song, it could be taken two ways, either to Hashem and also to music. Anybody else, you can listen to it. Maybe you feel a certain way towards your significant other, but the intention of me writing that song was to describe my relationship with music as my best friend and how it's carried me. And music has always had the soundtrack to be able to pull out and to be able to work on to fix certain emotions that one's able to fix, certain emotions that one may be struggling with even. So music was definitely my best friend. So to take the music very, very much so in this path that I was very familiar with as a kid, because like I said, I was already involved in gangs and different things like that. It wasn't really out of character for me, but it definitely was out of character to where I had become, to the place that I was. So at first, you know, when I was talking to this talent scout, I was like, you know, there's no way in the world. And they offered a lot of money. And then I found a way in the world that I would be able to do it. And unfortunately, I feel like, you know, that character role of like trying to pretend that I am, more gangster than really where I'm at in my life, and trying to take myself back there eventually turned into me hanging around the same exact crowd that I really pushed myself away from when I was younger, and I got myself more involved in Bible study groups and different things like that. So that would lead to eventually, putting out my first independent album. I should say right before I put out that album, I had a tragic situation in my life. I lost my mother to an overdose. My mother was addicted to drugs, to narcotics, and eventually she passed away. And so following that, sort of like channeling all of the pain and everything I felt at that time into my music, I released my first album independently before I ever inked a deal or anything like that. We decided to do it independently. I think this was already after we had decided we were moving on from the other opportunity that we may have had. They had moved on from us, actually. I went to New York and went to a lot of different places. And that was sort of the next journey for me in terms of really trying to find out and figure out who I was. So my next, sorry, it distracted me a little bit. I know, it distracted me. So after this, anyway, I would go on to put out this album, and it started to make a lot of noise locally. We had our own independent label. And so we started making a lot of noise, and the newspapers started to pick up on it. One detail I forgot to mention was that my mother and my father were both rappers. They actually started hip hop in Seattle. They were part of the first hip hop groups. So it was like a cool story for the newspapers to say, like, wow, this is the son of so-and-so and so-and-so. So it sort of got pushed to the front in terms of press because it was such a beautiful story for everyone. And that led to other people being a little bit more jealous or wanting to get their names out there, which eventually led to an altercation with another artist. It was one night I was in the studio that someone brought me music that someone else made, and there was another rapper who said some pretty harsh and disrespectful things about me in his song. A guy I didn't know at all. But that later on led to a violent interaction. We ended up getting into a fist fight outside of a club, and that turned into a brawl. And from that brawl led to a friend of mine going to try to take this other person's life. And thank Hashem that he was a horrible shot and he missed and he didn't kill him. But at the time, that was the worst thing for me because they thought that I sent him to go and kill him afterwards. So put me in a kill or be killed situation. I really had to contemplate for myself, what I was going to do and what was going to be my next step. And so I contemplated many different things. Would I stay there? Do I fly away? Do I, what do I do? Because at that point, you're faced with a situation when you know that once I leave my house, there's somebody looking for me. And up until that point, I never wanted to live my life that type of way. So we'll come back to the story. I didn't have that. Okay, this one. Yeah. Yeah.
I wanna fly away, far away from this place where nobody can bring me down. Where nobody can bring me down. I wanna fly away, far away from this place where nobody can bring me down. Where nobody can bring me down.
Here we go. Yeah.
We are the light we shine on. It's a delight we cry on with joyful tears. I know a place away from here. I wanna go, I wanna know what's my purpose, tactless. I wanna glow, I wanna show my inner greatness, not fear. Nobody knows my pain, but I'm ready to make a change. Thus, here's my heart of anger, replace and rearrange it. See, I need freedom from me to be all I can be. He'll look from heaven and see I chose to leave here to meet. Fly, fly away, far, far away from this place. Nobody can bring me down. Hey, hey, nobody can bring me down. Down, 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 down. I wanna fly, fly away, far, far away. Wait, hey, nobody can bring me down. Bring me down, 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 down. Bring me down, down. Everybody at home, make some noise. Yeah. This is the moment to make a blanket statement, but I changed my mind, I can't relate it. I'm on my quest for greatness, but now I'm learning patience. Then the shaman inside is filled with many places. A mikdash may I, lifting the curtains up, breathing, seeing the inner spot. The inner chamber, my heart is racing, my only thought is to hold to this moment and then to let it be. That place I was looking to be was here inside of me. Fly, fly away, wait, far, far away, from this place where nobody can bring me down. Where nobody can bring me down. I wanna fly, away, wait, far, far away, from this place where nobody can bring me down. Bring me down, down, down. Nobody can bring me down, down. Hey, hey, oh, 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 yeah. Hands up from side to side. Let me see you wave your hands from side to side. Hands up from side to side. If you know it, sing along. I won't let go. Let go. Even in a million years. Years. Up. Down. Yeah. Yeah. I won't let go. Let go. Even in a million years. Yeah. It's my hope that I know you, my desire that I show you, gratitude that I owe you. Cause I was in that Cleepers no gone till you came and dust off and revealed my spark. I was searching for the essence of existence, wanted to find you, but I didn't see an entrance. I came from a distance where everything was different. I called out to you and you showed me that you listened. From then we became best friends and I gave my all to you and you showed me who I am. And so I am, staying by your side to bask in your light and your mercy I reside. Hands high, I won't let go. Even in a million years. Down, so I'm staying here. I won't let go. Even in a million years. Down, so I'm staying here. What is it I can give you? What is it I can lift you? When everything is yours and every time I walk straight there's another door to help me achieve everything I need and more. Nothing more, nothing less than going to and fro, trying to hear your voice from heaven to your direction. I climb, but I fall flat like bread with no leaven. Please don't pick me up. Pick me up. Never ever put me down. Don't put me down. Give me all your love. Hashem. And bring that around me. Yeah. won't let go. Even in a million years, you're there when I'm up, when I'm down. Staying here, yeah. I won't let go. Even in a million years, you're there when I'm up, when I'm down. I'm staying here. I won't let go. Even in a million years, you're there when I'm up, you're there when I'm down. So I'm staying here. I won't let go. Even in a million years, you're there when I'm up, you're there when I'm down. So I'm staying here. Yeah, I won't let go. Even in a million years, you're there when I'm up, you're there when I'm down. So I'm staying here. Yeah, I won't let go. Even in a million years, damn. So I'm staying here. Thank you for having me a part of the program. I really do appreciate it. Even for those who don't know, maybe just now discovering me, my name is Nissim Black. I really appreciate it. Before we go into the last song, complete the story that's out the show. So now facing this situation of a kill or be killed and trying to figure out what my next move was going to be, I decided to pray. I was already familiar with praying and crying out because I was already Christian, earlier in my years. So I started to pray, and I started to pray to God, and I asked him for a different way. And my miracle at that time was that my phone rang sometime after this, and it was the other side. The reason why I say that's a miracle is because once you are coming from that type of background and that type of life, you already know the odds of somebody calling you to ask you if you're trying to kill them or not is very, very low, right? It just doesn't happen. Shoot first, ask questions last is the code of the streets. So to be able to get that call, let me know that the opportunity to be able to squash everything and put it behind us had presented itself, which I really attributed to God at the time and still do. So after we had our conversation, we put things behind us, and I knew that my life wasn't in danger anymore. I decided to stay praying, and I prayed a lot. And eventually, I started to pick back up the Bible, and I started to go through it and started to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And I started to investigate things a little bit more because I wanted to know, well, you know what? I knew about Islam, I knew about Christianity. And what was interesting was I grew up actually in a Jewish neighborhood and I didn't know anything about Judaism. So I decided to start looking for the differences between the three different religions. So before you know, I had a few different versions of the Christian Bible. I was going through the Quran. I was also going through a JPS Tanakh and a Chumash. And I was there like my head about to explode 8 hours a day. I was going through all these different texts, trying to find the truth. And at the time, I say to people all the time when they say, do you encourage seeking? I encourage seeking. But the truth is that if it's truthful, meaning that a lot of people search for things because they have a certain desire or they have a certain aspirations that really isn't in line with the God they already know, right? So they start to search for things. There's another reason that people search. People also start to search because they've accepted certain worldviews from society that conflict with what they already had knew to be true, so to speak. And once those other things sort of settle in the person's mind and in the heart, it's much harder for them after that to remove what they've already accepted as truth, meaning society with societal norms. So now I need to go and find a faith, religion, a new philosophy, something that fits my my belief of how things should be in my society according to societal norms. This is what society says is okay. I've already accepted that, and I need to find. But there's another seeking that a lot of people never really come from, and this is what I encourage: seeking that is going to seeking for something that is going to hit a certain place of truth within you that
could be completely against whatever you have ever known. It could be against what you may believe or whatever for yourself. But you're searching for a truth that ultimately you're willing to be able to give your whole entire self over to that truth. I'm willing to give my whole entire life and dedicate my life to that truth, regardless if it matches what I believe or what I think is true or what I feel. So, and that was the type of searching I was. Hence, I'm going through 3 different faiths at least. I narrowed it down. I definitely, anybody could take shots. Yes, I never looked into like Buddhism or Hinduism or anything like that. I stuck with the Abrahamic religions. But I went through and I was going through, and it got to a point to where I got so confused and I was so I don't know, so broken, because I wanted the truth so badly. I started fasting. I would take, a week. I'll go 3 days without food, and I would go and just cry to God, trying to find the truth. And the reason why Tanakh, or the Jewish story, so to speak, stuck out to me was the constant up and downs. The honesty of the text was amazing, because when you look at it, it's very, very honest, and very, very much so speaking of the fact that everybody messed up. Moshe Rabbeinu messed up. Klal Yisrael as a whole messed up. King David messed up. And this beautiful relationship, especially if you spend a lot of time inside the prophets, the beautiful relationship that God has, that even after what can sound like the worst rebuke, all the prophecies are ending with words of restoration, words of a future relationship together, God and with the Jewish people. And that to me was very, very telling, especially to a person who felt like for most of his life, you mess up, I've been messing up. So felt very, very much so connected to that story. And I came to an interesting conclusion, from my learning, going through all these different texts and trying to find whatever. And obviously by this time now, spending a lot of time on Chabad.org. Shout out to Chabad.org. If it wasn't for Chabad.org, I don't think I would be here. So without being able to have that opportunity to search and different things like that, but it was an amazing conclusion that I came to, which ultimately God doesn't need anything else to exist, right? So there's no need to ever say that you need this in order for God to exist or anything like that. But to some degree, God sort of based his integrity upon the fact that there would be a Jewish people. If you look throughout all the prophecies, all the end time prophecies or whatever, there's this overwhelming amount of prophecies that talk about Hashem and the Jewish people and Israel, the land of Israel, the actual land of Israel, and Bezat Hashem with Mashiach and Messiah. So there's these countless prophecies are there. It's almost as if God is saying that he is willing to put in his integrity. And when you think about it and you look throughout Jewish history, the whole entire existence of Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people, is a nace. It's a miracle. It shouldn't be, right? So it's almost approving, once I sat with the boy who called himself a Jewish atheist. He thought he was an atheist. Your existence is the proof that there's a God. And if you don't even believe in the Jewish text, you can look in the Islamic hadiths, you can look inside the Christian text. Everybody believes that at the end of days, it has to be Jews. Everybody speaks of a special relationship that God has with the Jewish people. So it's inevitable that it's almost like it'd be insane to say that there's no Hashem just based on the fact that there was Jewish people. So obviously got myself involved first in the first thing I think that I came encounter with was a Jews for JC, a Christian organization, Christian like synagogue we started going to. We were there for about 2 years. And right at the end of that, and meanwhile we were learning on our own, I got involved with the Chabad. Shout out to Rabbi Farkash, Bellevue Eastside Torah Center. And what was interesting from us going there, we ended up going to like the last conference. Instead of going to the regular services, we decided to hang out with the rabbis that were on the couch. One of the rabbis was Rabbi Michael Skoback from Toronto, and the other rabbi was Rabbi Eli Cohen, who was I think he was in Melbourne, but now he's also in Toronto. He's also Lubavitch. And we were able to talk to these guys that were anti-missionaries, able to speak to them about all our different kashas or questions that we had on Christianity at the time. And it was a very, very powerful, uplifting experience. And from there, we decided, me and my wife, that we would go and move back into the community. And at this time, it wasn't just me and my wife and her sister. And her sister is married to my best friend. So all four of us, we moved into the community where I originally grew up at. So everything came back full circle. And there, all four of us converted together to Judaism. So Bezat Hashem, if we're going to have more times to talk after this, I think we're going to do a question and answer if we have time. I'm going to do one last song, and then we're going to open it up. And then I think Rabbi is going to navigate the questions. Remember. So I should probably do this shit enough. Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't have it.
Yeah. This is the world makeover. Mashiach will come take over. You ain't gotta be me or see what I see. All you gotta do is take a look forward. Lift up your eye to the sky. Spread out your hands. Say thank you. Smile. Get 'em up, leave 'em up high, high. Yep, pump up the volume every day. Stand in place. Heart racing, no words to say. Pressure building, trying to hold my face. And my mind is drifting like not today. Wake up from everything. Break out your shell and scream. Hashem, you're the king. Hashem, you're the king. Hey, if you guys at home, sing along. Hashem, 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 If you guys at home, jump around. God help us, ladies and gentlemen.
I feel the cold in the rain. I wanna get up and leave.
Said I wanna get up.
Everything's always the same. I wanna get up and leave. Now we're standing here, and the night's so clear, like the Scheiner upon your crown. Yeah, we're up so high in the midnight sky, and we'll never come back down.
Hashem Melech, Hashem Malach, our Father. King David's rock your honor. We give our life stronger. We cling to drop the blessing, the bracha, success, hatzlacha. The world is yours, you offer it to whomever calls you.
Hashem Melech, Hashem Malach, Hashem ELON, Leolam Va'ed.
Hashem Melech,
Hashem Malach,
Hashem
ELON, Leolam Va'ed. Hashem Melech, Hashem Malach, Hashem ELON, Leolam Va'ed.
Yeah.
Hashem Melech, Malach, ELON, Leolam Va'ed.
We gon' break it down right here, like we gon' break it down right here. Yep. We gon' break it down right here. Yeah. Wake up, my friend, we gone. We praising Hashem with all of our soul. The Clipper is fighting, we know. We waging a war, we won't let him go. Even if the world don't turn, the fire will burn. The H-time me, a core bunch of sacrifice. Yep, put H on me, we clapping loud, screaming loud. We gonna take that crown, bring it back straight to the king. Then we bow, Malchut complete. Yep. Pick up the mitzvah, lay down the hate. All on my bar, all on my say. The feeling is great when we can say, praise Hashem, his name is great.
Here, and the night's so clear, like the shine upon your crown.
Cram.
We're up so high in the midnight sky, and we'll never come back down. Hashem Melech, Hashem Malach, Hashem ELON,
No, lay your lamb by Hashem Melech, Hashem Malach, Hashem ELON, lay olam va'eh. Hashem, 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 Le'olam Va'er. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for having me. Get Nissim Black. This year, for everybody, should be a year of bracha. Should be a year of light. Should be tremendous light. Oh, shefa, abundance, both spiritual and material. Brooklyn's Gashmias, Bezat Hashem. Should bless us all. Hey, look, Rabbi.
Big round of applause for Nissim Black. Wow, what an amazing performance, Nissim. It's truly an honor to meet you, and your story is so inspiring. How you followed
Thank you,
the emes, looking for the light, just like the message of Chanukah. If anyone has questions, please type it into the chat box, and I'll present your questions. But I want you to know, Nissim, that everyone here thoroughly enjoyed your performance and is very inspired by your story.
Thank you.
I just point out to everybody, I don't know if you realize this, but it's 4:00 in the morning in Israel where Nissim is performing. And if this is his energy at 4 a.m., you could only imagine what it's like next year. And he does a show during the day or during the evening when it's not 4 in the morning.
Definitely. I'd like to mention I was shooting a video all day also too from the morning, and then I finally got to sleep for like maybe an hour and a half. So Baruch Hashem on that. So to back up the rabbi, you ain't seen nothing yet. Baruch Hashem. I can hear the rabbi for the question. I think he's speaking. I can't hear him.
Do you hear me now, Nissim?
Just now I can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. So we're looking forward to the day to have you live here in Palm Beach, God willing. So tell us a little bit about your family. How many children do you have, Kanai Nahara?
Baruch Hashem, I have 6 children, thank God. And and like I mentioned, my brother and sister-in-law, so they live like next door to us. They also have 6 children. So we have 12 and they have 12, basically. They come mess up my house, then they go next door and mess up the auntie and uncle's house. So I have 6 of my own and then 6 adopted.
That's amazing. How old are you, Nissim?
I am 34. I just turned 34, Zion Kislev. So thank you. And so my Gregorian birthday was also on the 9th, so like 2 days ago, I think. Yeah, so Baruch Hashem.
Wow, amazing. And what about, where is your father still back in Seattle?
Yes, it's an interesting thing. Obviously, I can't tell all the story like in every detail, but so my mother and my biological father split when I was 2. So my mother remarried, and I was raised by her and my stepfather. But both my father and my stepfather also had dabbled at that. Not just dabbled; they both sold drugs. My father actually had sold on a very, very high level, unfortunately. And but the fortunate thing is that he changed his life. And he now today is a Christian theologian professor. He teaches at a Bible college. He also heads a addiction program now, and pastors a church. And he actually has been my biggest like support in terms of my conversion to Yiddishkeit. Very, very supportive. So yeah, he's still alive and kicking. He's more alive than me. You should see this guy. He lives in the gym. So yeah, he's doing very well. So I just started. It's interesting because I hadn't really been in touch with my family, any of my family, for years. And so just I would say maybe the last 2 years, 2.5 years or whatever, I've been back in contact with my family. And it's been amazing to see how many different stories have changed and how many people have been actually following and been inspired by my story and seeing how much I've grown. So
wow. How many siblings do you have?
I have 3 sisters and 1 brother.
And are you close to them?
Yeah, 4 sisters. Sorry, 4 sisters and 1 brother. The truth is, we were closer, years ago. But I have 1 sister that I grew up with in my house that my other 4 siblings did not grow up in the house with. So the one that I grew up in the house with, we keep in more contact. But yeah, because and also to the older kids. Like I have 2, my older brother, older sister, everybody has their own thing. My older sister, she's married, so she has a family, so I don't talk to her much.
not because I don't want to, just we're busy with our life. And then, so we try to keep in touch, but we're not as close. My younger sister, I'm much closer to.
Have any of your family members come to visit you in Israel?
No, I can't wait. That's gonna be like an HBO series, you know. I gotta like turn this into like a Showtime thing. Yeah, I already got a few sponsors that want to sponsor that. You know, I want to bring my family, a couple boys from the hood. I want to like take them on a trip to Menorah. I want to see the contrast of what that's like. So I'm looking
Wow.
forward to it.
How old? Someone asked the question, Nissim. Has anyone ever reached out to you and said that your courage inspired them to change the course of their life?
Oh, Baruch Hashem. Thank God doing this. I get those messages like every day, honestly, like every other day or something like that. I get a message like that from people, both Jewish, not Jewish, people in the conversion process, people wanting to convert, leaving other religions. I get beautiful stories like that, and they never get old. They're much, and as much as I enjoy like taking a picture with everybody, like the selfie scores are way lower level of importance to these stories, and it makes me realize why I do it. You know.
Wow. Tell us, and listen, when did you move to Israel? Why did you decide to move to Israel? And how is the music scene in Israel? Is that the best place for your music career? Do you find the Israeli audiences are receptive to your music?
That's a loaded question. So let's break them down. So the reason why I moved to Israel was because I started learning about Yiddish. Like quite honestly, started learning about Judaism, and because I feel like I was beginning of my learning was heavily based on learning Tanakh and learning Navi. It's like impossible to learn all those stories and be as invested and like not want to move to the actual place where everything is actually happening at, right? So the idea of Hashem, the Jewish people in the land of Israel, was always one thing. It never not been one thing to me. So it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when I was going to move to Israel. So it was never one thing that sparked it, I guess, except for my initial learning about Yiddishkeit and Judaism, and learning about you know, the Navi and the prophets and everything else that was inside. I'd always wanted to move. We moved almost 5 years ago now, me and my family. And in terms of music, yeah, you know, I never really tried until just recently. More Israeli like artists have reached out to me to like do collaborations. And even when I moved here, I didn't know how known I was, so I didn't really like in the beginning start to take advantage. I mean, after I got off the plane, I kind of knew they're like playing Hashem Melech in the airport, and reporters were like coming to my house driving me crazy, but we didn't still know about like the Israeli music and in that market so much. And I still think I'm really just now starting to like do collaborations with other Israeli artists and different things like that. We'll see where that goes, but I don't know. Eventually, I know a lot of these kids is really interesting. I opened up a TikTok not too long ago, and which was one of the hardest social media platforms for me, because it just looks like people get on there and just do silly stuff that are way out of my character. So so I didn't know what to really do, and I had a marketing team that was working with LA that was like, you know, just get on there and do rabbi stuff, man. You know, they didn't really know what to say. So I don't know. I'm going to keep it tzaddikim. I'm like, you know, doing different things like that and just living my life on there. And the amount of Israeli kids that have like hopped on and started following me, I think I'm up to like 20,000 followers. I haven't been on the program for that long. Of kids that are just, you know, secular Israeli, super inspired by what I'm doing. You know, I was making Havdalah. They were asking me why there's fire, why I was making Kiddush, you know, all type of stuff. So it was very been a beautiful experience. So I'm looking to see where it goes. Can't hear, Rabbi. Sorry. You're muted. Are you muted?
Okay, here we are. Nissim.
Yes.
Nissim, you know,
Yes.
there's been a lot of upheaval in the States with racism and Black Lives Matters and a lot of
Right.
stuff going on in America here. First of all, how do you view all of that from Israel? And what has been your personal experience? Has it been difficult integrating into the Hasidic community? Were you worried about that before you converted? And why did you decide to become a Hasidic Jew versus another kind, Orthodox Jew?
So I think the first thing is that you know, I honestly I'm not a fan nor supporter of Black Lives Matter movement. Don't really agree. I think there's much bigger issues in terms of America as a whole. I think there's much bigger issues than racism that is plaguing the African American community. There's not enough fathers in the home. Me growing up in those type of environments, this type of neighborhood, it's not to say that you won't experience racism to some degree. Most of the racism that I would say that I experienced from a systemic standpoint, was being in the environments, being forced basically to go to the schools that we had to go to and different things like that. And that system of how well the upkeep, of the education, we didn't have books, different things like that. So I would definitely say that there are some things at play that definitely plague that are things that are not controlled by the African American community. But those things are minor in my opinion. When I look at the drug abuse, the Black on Black violence, the fathers not being at home, which probably aids to a lot of those things. So not to say that there's not some room to fight for equality, but I just think that it has to be justified a little bit more, in my personal opinion. I think, growing up, if you actually ask people, to give you like major examples of racism that they're dealing with in their life, I don't think you're gonna get you'll get a lot of speculation of what people think and take as racism, but you're not gonna get a lot of black and white. This actually happens. So I think the movement is probably doing a little bit more damage than it's doing any fixing. And this is safe to say from my own looking into things and talking to other people in the communities that I have grown up in and people that come from those communities, none of the funds are coming back to actually help the Black community. So that's my Black Lives Matter situation. Moving on from there, in my own personal, it's been very tough to like integrate more so for my children. So my children was obviously a different story, trying to like, get into the proper schools and different things like that. Ultimately, though, we don't feel like there was like a major issue. It's been like 4 or 5 people you have to deal with, that you have problems with. But to say like there's been an overall integration problem would be like a major exaggeration. My kids are happy, Baruch Hashem. We had a tougher time in Scheiner, but it's to be understood. It's a very, very closed community. In terms of them, we did fine as adults, but for kids, it's a little bit tougher because kids are more cruel and don't necessarily have are not necessarily taught basically what you should say and not say or how you should treat people. And it's just a lack of education, honestly, that we've had to deal with there. But other than that, I would definitely say, the experience overall has been amazing. And my kids, like I said, they're very happy. We got into the schools that wanted them to get into, Baruch Hashem. We're in the area that we needed to be in, and we've been very, very happy there. So, and it's interesting because even in the world, in the Hasidic world, like, you would think that you would get all that, and that's what you're told before you go into it. And I think also to answer the other question, how I got into Hasidus was because I think, for me personally, just learning and spending a lot of time in Tanakh and then finally being able to face and look inside of Yiddishkeit and Judaism, I think the only thing that like spiritually that connected with me was sort of like reading. First I was actually learning Tanya. Shout out to Rabbi Krasniansky. I think he was on Chabad.org. I was learning Tanya, learning. Huh? Okay, I thought you said something. So learning from him it was beautiful. Rabbi Mendel Kaplan also too was giving stories. Rabbi Gordon, who unfortunately passed away years ago, I was learning Rashi and Chumash with him. Like I was on Chabad like very faithfully. And I think the thing is that later on, as I started to like really search, and I got into Breslov. Like I spent a lot of my time. I told you in my original story, a lot of time in his Bodidus before I even knew what his Bodidus was, personal prayer. So like when I sort of got a hold of those tours, it was like, this was sort of my path that I felt like was always there for me.
Beautiful. And what are some of the Jewish musicians that you're a fan of?
Good question.
Yeah, go ahead. You like Carlebach music?
I love Carl. I love Carlebach. I'm a big Zusha fan. I love Zusha. I love Shlomo Katz a lot. Shlomo and Eitan Katz I listen to. Probably a big one for me is Yosef Karduna. I love listening to Yosef Karduna. And I'm a fan of a lot of people, but some of the music I put on for my kids, because the kids like to jam out. But me personally, like when I'm listening to music, I listen like the completely opposite of my music, like very, very soft, no fast up tempo music or nothing like that. I almost rarely ever play that. So I listen to like complete like folk music. There's a guy, Levi Robin. I love Levi Robin's music. Also big fan of a guy, not too many people know, is a guy named Raz Hartman who lives in say Nachlaot area. He puts out disc every once in a while, but he's very, very good. Classically trained on the piano. I like pianos. I like classical music. People will never know, but that's like really my jam.
Really? What about Chazanis? Do you like any Chazanim?
Not really, you know why? Because it's like, man, they just like extend the davening for so long, and it's like I enjoy a long davening when we're all davening together, but like it's like a concert in the middle of shul. So anyway, so it's hard for me to get through Chazanis. But I like to say at one point I was listening to Chazanis for like 2 years, and I never became a Bakin who I was actually listening to, so I didn't know this one from the other, but I was listening to it for a while, and it was great as like a soundtrack, but like, trying to dive into that was very, very difficult.
Incredible. Nissim, your story is just, so inspiring. The courage you had and determination to follow your passion and follow your dream. And you lifted all of our spirits tonight on the first night of Hanukkah. Your music is incredible. Your energy is beautiful. And your story is just heartwarming. And kol hakavod to you. You should continue to go from strength to strength. You're truly amazing and a real inspiration. And we very much look forward one day when this COVID is over, we have to have you in Palm Beach for a Shabbaton.
I'm waiting.
We really got to get to know you, man. You're the real deal.
Thank you so much.
We all feel like we want to make our Yiddishkeit a little more genuine after listening to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you having me. And I'm looking for my invitation.
Okay, good. Then how was the first night of Hanukkah in Eretz Yisrael?
It was very nice, but unfortunately, like I said, fortunately and unfortunately, I was shooting a video for most of the day. So I got back and I lit, and I was completely wiped out. So I didn't get to experience it. We'll look forward to the next few days. But
before you go, Nissim, I think Elon Gold is still on.
Elon, you still there?
Elon Gold, are you still there? Someone told me Elon Gold was still on.
Yeah, I can still see he's on, but I don't see him in the screen, so maybe he stepped out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, Nissim, this is the holiday of Nissim, miracles, right? That's your name, Nissim. So, but it should be Nissim by you and by all of Klal Yisrael.
Amen.
All of the Jewish people everywhere. Thank you so much, and I hope you can still get a little bit of sleep before the day begins.
We're going to.
I heard you daven first thing at the crack of dawn every day. Is that true?
I try to. Not this week, but I do try to. I daven Nates every day.
And what time is that these days?
Nates right now.
Everyone in the world.
Hey guys.
Don't want to say we got
here's Elon.
How are you? Am I still on this thing?
Oh yeah, Elon, you're hilarious.
Am I still on this?
You're so Jewy.
How many?
You're still on this, man. We were waiting on you this whole time.
For me. Rabbi Scheiner, how are you?
Elon, how did you enjoy Nissim?
Well, I'm having a party with my friend Dana Dude, a Hanukkah party. You know Dana Dude? Great. And do you know Barry Weiss, the legend? She's the Queen Esther of our time.
Hi, guys.
And Nellie.
Happy Hanukkah.
And Nellie.
Hanukkah.
And my son.
Nice to see everyone.
Hi.
By the way, Elon's parents are
We're having a little outdoor gathering. We're celebrating Hanukkah.
Elon, do you know your parents are
That's true.
Elon, you know your parents are coming to Palm Beach?
I know. I'm excited about it. By the way, Nick, awesome show. Awesome show.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Is he there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're a tough.
You know I'm a big fan. We've talked on Twitter.
Right.
Listen, only you could do it. Only you could do it.
Too much, Elon.
Did you hear my opening joke? I said, this isn't Nissim Black. You don't have to adjust your screens. I'm Elon, and Nissim's coming on later. We've got a different look.
Nah, man, we're twin.
Guys, isn't it amazing? I have Queen Esther of our people here. No.
Queen Esther.
Do you understand who's here in my backyard celebrating Hanukkah with me? I have the Queen Esther of our people. Yeah, we're going to do it out here also. Just did it too. Barry Weiss is the queen, wrote the book literally on anti-Semitism. And she's
Barry
here.
Weiss
We're having a
is
nice Hanukkah celebration.
1 second, Elon. Barry Weiss.
Yes, say hi. Barry, say hi to Rabbi Scheiner.
Hi, Rabbi Scheiner. Are you Chabad?
Yes, and I
Hi.
have your book in my office. You're amazing. You wrote
Oh,
the book.
thank you so much. I'm a Chabad fellow traveler.
That's amazing. Now you quit your job at the New York Times, right?
And then there's one of the stars of Cobra Kai. Dan, say Dan. Anybody remember Falafel Phil in, what was that Nickelodeon show you did? All right, so we're going to go enjoy our party. You enjoy yours. Thank you for having me again. Chag Sameach, everybody.
Chag Sameach. Chag Sameach.
See you soon. Nissim, I'll see you in Israel. Rabbi Scheiner, I'll see you in Florida.
Amen. I'll see you all soon.
All right,
Good
thank
night,
you
everyone.
guys.
Chag Sameach.
Chag
Thank you
Sameach.
for joining us for our first Hanukkah Zoom celebration. Laila Tov, everyone.